What do you do when someone criticizes you? When someone questions your motives, your message, your faith? Do you defend yourself immediately? Do you try to prove them wrong? Do you enter debate mode? Or do you quietly fume while replaying the argument over and over and over again in your head? You're not alone. Every Christian leader, pastor, entrepreneur, parent, teacher, business owner faces critics. It's part of the game, right? If you're doing anything that matters, someone's going to misunderstand you, someone will oppose you, someone will misrepresent you, someone will talk about you when you're not in the room. We kind of get used to it, right? If you're in some level of leadership. But here's the question that separates wise leaders from exhausted ones. Do you fight your critics or do you influence them? Because there's a big difference between winning the argument and winning the person. And today, I want to show you how to do something almost no one does anymore. I want to show you how to win without arguing. That's the Paul strategy, straight from the New Testament, for engaging cultural critics in a way that honors God, preserves peace, and multiplies your influence. So let's talk about the emotional trap of defensiveness. If we're really honest, I think when someone criticizes you, especially unfairly, it hurts. It does for me. You pour your heart into a sermon, a product, a parenting decision, an employee, and someone attacks it. You feel that burn in your chest. Your brain starts writing paragraphs of rebuttal. You start rehearsing comebacks in the shower. And if you're not careful, criticism can hijack your peace. I've been there. You've probably been there. You post something online that's meant to help people, and suddenly someone comments, "Wow, that's unbiblical." And you think, "Whoa, really?" Or, "Must be nice to say that when you're making money off of ministry." Or, "Well, that's easy for you to say because you're a billionaire." And the old part of you wants to type out a 5-paragraph defense, but pause here. Defensiveness feels like strength, but it's actually insecurity. The more you defend yourself, the less people trust you. The more you argue, the smaller your influence becomes, because people aren't just listening to your words, they're watching your spirit behind your words. So let's think about Paul, because if anyone had critics, it was the Apostle Paul. He was called a heretic by the Jews. He was called a fool by the Greeks. The Romans thought he was a disturber of the peace, and yet he rarely fought back. One of my favorite stories comes from Acts 17. Paul's in Athens. He's standing in the middle of the Areopagus, the intellectual capital of the ancient world. He's surrounded by philosophers, by skeptics, by tons of idol worshipers. They're mocking him. They call Paul a babbler, a seed picker. It's an ancient insult meaning he just parrots bits of information he doesn't even understand. If anyone had reason to argue, it was Paul. But watch what he does. He doesn't shout. He doesn't attack. He engages with them. Do you remember what he tells them in Acts 17? He says, "Men of Athens, I see that in every way you are very religious." He actually starts out with a compliment to them. He acknowledges what they're doing right before he addresses what they're doing wrong. That's part of Paul's strategy. Start with respect before you speak correction. He builds a bridge instead of building a wall. And after he's earned their attention, then look at what he does next. He starts sharing the truth. That's influence, right? Earn someone's attention and then share the truth with them. So the first principle, respect before response. Respect before response. Critics expect you to argue. They are prepared for you to debate. They're not prepared for dignity. When you lead with respect, it disarms hostility. Think about it. When someone says something harsh and you respond with gentleness, it kind of throws them off balance. Proverbs 15:1 says it this way: "A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." You're not just trying to win the conversation, you're trying to win their heart. Here's a practical example. Let's say someone emails your church or your company with criticism. Instead of replying, "Well, actually, you misunderstood what I said," try this. "Thank you for taking the time to share your concern. I appreciate your passion for truth. Let's talk this through." Respect creates room for redemption. You're not losing ground by being kind. In fact, you're gaining a level of moral authority. The second principle is clarify, don't combat. Paul often clarified misunderstanding before correcting it. In Acts 26, when he's standing before King Agrippa, he says, "What I'm saying is true and reasonable." He doesn't yell or condemn, he clarifies. Most arguments happen because people talk past each other, not to each other. They assume motive instead of asking for meaning. So here's a practical tool. When you're criticized, ask, "Can you help me understand what you mean by that?" Or here's another way of saying that. "Can you tell me more about what's bothering you? I really want to know." Those questions move the conversation from attack to curiosity. When you listen first, you gain insight. And once you understand their perspective, you can respond with accuracy rather than assumption. Too often we respond with assumptions. Jesus modeled this too. When the Pharisees tried to trap him, he often answered their questions with another question. He wasn't avoiding them, he was practicing wisdom. Clarifying questions keep your emotions in check and help you find out what's really going on, right? The third principle, stay mission focused. One of Paul's greatest strengths was focus. He didn't chase every critic. He stayed focused on his calling. In Acts 19, when people stirred up riots in Ephesus, Paul wanted to go confront them, and his friends literally stopped him. They said, Paul, you don't need to fight this one, because every argument you engage in is an energy withdrawal, and you only have so much energy. Some critics aren't obstacles, they're just distractions. If you try to fight every battle, you'll burn out before you reach your purpose. So ask yourself, will this argument advance the kingdom or just satisfy my ego? If it's not mission critical, let it go. Sometimes walking away is the most spiritual thing you can do. Even Jesus, when accused falsely, remained silent before Pilate. He didn't need to win the argument because he was about to win the war. Fourth principle, respond from identity, not insecurity. This one's really hard. Most of us react to criticism from a place of insecurity. We think, well, what if they're right? What if people believe them? What if this ruins my reputation? But Paul never anchored his peace in people's approval. He anchored it in his calling. Galatians 1:10 says, am I now trying to win the approval of man or God? If I were still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ. That verse might hit hard for some of us. When your identity is secure in Christ, you don't need to win in the human court of approval because your worth isn't on trial, your message is. When your peace comes from your position in Christ, criticism loses its power. You don't have to prove anything. You just have to walk faithfully. Fifth principle, speak truth with grace. Paul told the Ephesians, speak the truth in love, not speak the truth and then add love. It's truth in love, blended, not balanced. Here's what that looks like. When you finally respond to a critic, you don't compromise truth to make them comfortable, but you don't weaponize truth to make yourself superior either. You can tell the truth gently. You can say, I see your point, but here's where I stand. You can stand firm without standing over top of someone. That's what separates Christian leadership from secular argumentation. We're not here to win. Ultimately, we're here to witness, right? Sixth principle, bless your critics. Now, here's the hardest part. Paul didn't just tolerate his critics, he prayed for them. Romans 12:14 says, bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. That's radical, because blessing your critic frees you. It keeps bitterness from rooting in your soul. You might have people slander you. I've had people do that before, twist my words, maybe mock my faith. Maybe they make fun of the YouTube channel because it's clearly Christian. That's okay. If I pray for that person, if I really pray for them, something changes inside me. The anger melts away. The anxiety lifts. I stop needing to be right, and I start wanting that person to be redeemed. That's the posture of Jesus, who looked down from the cross and said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. That's the ultimate win. Seventh principle, let your fruit speak. At the end of the day, the best way to influence your critics is not through arguments, it's through outcomes. Jesus said in Matthew 7:16, by their fruit you will recognize them. You don't need to convince everyone you're right. You just need to live in such a way that time proves that you're right. When your family thrives, when your team flourishes, when your peace stays steady, when your business grows, critics eventually notice. They might not say it out loud, but deep down they'll think, there's something different about them. And that's when you've truly won, because you didn't win through noise. You won through nobility. You won through doing the right thing. You won with your integrity intact. So here's my challenge for you. This week, someone's going to misunderstand you. If not this week, then next. Someone's going to criticize you. Maybe you feel like every single day someone criticizes me. When that happens, don't panic, don't fight, don't explain. Take a deep breath, pray, remember the Apostle Paul, start with respect, seek to understand where they're coming from, stay focused on your mission, respond from identity, speak truth in love, bless your critics, and let your fruit speak for itself. That's how you win the argument without arguing. Because you're not here to win debates against people. You're here to win people. And when you master the Paul strategy, you'll influence more by how you handle disagreement, maybe even than by how you handle success. So lead with grace, walk with truth, and let your peace preach louder than your self-defense ever could. I hope this video is helpful to you. I hope it's something you can put in action. Tried to make it as practical as possible. There's so much we can learn from Paul's example in the New Testament. Thanks again for watching. If you really liked it, consider leaving a thumbs up or sharing it with a friend or subscribing to the channel. Thanks so much, and I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful day walking with Jesus.